And you're live, okay. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. And we have a roll call, we have our folks here. We have 4 of our members here today. And that gives us a quorum. And the news media has been notified. And so do I have a motion to move into executive session?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, we're going to move back into open session. Are there any action items from executive session? Mr. Smith?
Oh, yes, sir. At this time, I move that the Beaufort-Jasper Academy for Career Excellence Board of Directors approve the personnel recommendation as presented and discussed during executive session, effectively recommended by the director.
Okay, do you have any
And
questions?
and just to be specific.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, and do we have any questions or any comments?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Being that if someone was looking at publicly, they would not know what the recommendation is. I think for public transparency, just to say what would be the new hires. I think the new hires would be need to go in there. I think that would be the.
You'd like to have Dr. Lovecchio do the same description so the public knows?
Yeah, I need to put that in a motion. Versus what we discussed in executive session, that's not perfect to people. So I think the wording needs to be cleaned up on that.
I'll make a suggestion. Perhaps as part of the motion, you might want to just describe it as listed on page 5.
Yeah.
Of the director's report. This is your report, right? On page 5 of the director's report.
Okay,
And
so
maybe that'll
that suffice, sir?
Yeah, that'd be suffice.
Okay. And then if I'll call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Excuse me.
Aye.
I want to make sure I understand. What was the recommendation?
To basically add that the recommendation is to hire people on page 5.
Yeah,
Okay.
just be
Okay.
publicly announced. Yeah, okay. All right. Motion carries.
Mr. Lawyer, did you hear that?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, just making sure you voted yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, sir. I think the next item is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Next item is consent agenda, which is the approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Did we get a motion?
Yes.
Okay, and a second? Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Next item is the director's report. Dr. Lovecchio.
Perfect. I'm gonna go over a few things today. I really focused on our priorities, our progress, and our direction for the upcoming year. And we're gonna look at the opening of school, our goals for this year, as well as our measures of success. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about each picture so you guys have a little scope and sequence of sort of what's up here. This is a project that Mr. Adcock is doing in auto collision. He's gone around all summer and he collected used bowling pins from bowling alleys with the idea that when they're dented and stuff, they're very similar to automobiles. So the kids have to patch them and sand them smooth and then paint them. And he's letting them paint them as they please with decals and so forth. Where what he shares with us and the students is if you can paint something that small and that, intricate, that you will easily be able to paint an automobile. So this is a project that's been ongoing, and when I went in there today, a lot of them already have some paint on them. So everybody gets a bowling pin. They're having to put some Bondo, so to speak, or I'm not even sure what the proper term is anymore, but sand it down and then paint it. So it's really a really neat project. These are just some pictures from the first week, the welding, and over here is our instructor in cosmetology, working with the students. And despite the heat, everybody was working diligently, the students and staff alike. And as I shared, we have some new staff, and Ms. Tajaka has moved from front desk to compliance coordinator. Ms. Robles is joining us as guidance and attendance clerk. Ms. Mex is our front desk person. Ms. Eaton, who is right over there, is our new financial specialist on campus. And Mr. Guerra, who's pictured here, this is his classroom during the first week, is our new marine tech teacher. Some celebrations. We got the Hardyville grant last year. About midway through the year, we ordered a giant plasma cutter, and of course, it takes a few months to be built and delivered. So that came over the summer. It's in the welding shop, and they're coming out next week to start to hook up the electrical, so we can put that in use. You can see Mr. Lawyer here. He joined us for our back-to-school haircut event, where our barbering and cosmetology students volunteered their time and came during our open house, and we had a bunch of members of the community getting free back-to-school haircut styles, braiding, everything, soup to nuts. So it was a really great opportunity for our kids to earn some hours and get some experience while we serve the community. I didn't really have a picture for this, but we've been working on our tiered certification calendar. And I spoke a little about that in the past, and that's where students need more than one certification now to become college and career ready. Ms. Tinjaka, who is again in that new CTE compliance coordinator position, has created a calendar, work with the teachers, and we should be all set that our students have ample opportunities, including backups if they don't, if they don't do well on one of the exams, that there are other ones that can pick up their points, so we can continue to have high college and career ready percentages. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit and how that's one of our goals for the year. And last, Ms. Chaplin and I had a wonderful opportunity. We were invited up to Boeing, where three of our students, Jamel Wright, who is from Richland, Angel Pelagio, who's from Hardyville, and Brady Jacoby, who's from Hilton Head, were all up there doing the Boeing summer program. And we got to go up for the graduation. And it was just, first of all, it was amazing when you see 10 787s in one hangar, back to front. It was just enormous, spotless. And I know Jamal graduated from us last year. He graduated from Richland last year. These two are back at ACE right now as seniors. And I know these two, because we haven't spoken to Jamal yet, but these two have been offered jobs at the end of their, once they graduate high school. So they're already have Boeing job offers on the table. So it was just a wonderful event. You got to see kids from throughout the state. They got to bond with kids throughout the state. They were given a $5,000 stipend to live up in North Charleston because we're so far for the summer, and then paid $19 an hour. They had to get up, I think, they had to be there at 5 a.m. every day?
They had to be there at like 4:30.
4:30 every morning.
To go
Yep.
into work, yeah.
So it was a long summer. They worked hard, but they did it and proved that they're viable employees. So we're really proud of those students, and they're really proud walking around here too. They have their Boeing, we let them wear their Boeing shirts instead of their A shirts every now and then to peacock around a little bit. But and we just had a meeting yesterday for at last meeting we had mentioned that we've become partners in a new initiative where we're the first high school to do that with Boeing, where our teachers can recommend students for employment, and they don't have to get interviews. That teacher recommendation counts as an interview and they get hired. We just had a meeting on that yesterday after school, our first one of the year. So we're going to meet internally and put those pieces into place. But essentially what it does is if we give the student a recommendation, they can see the jobs that are online that apply to this program. They can apply directly, upload their recommendation from their teacher, and that will give them a position. So like I said, we're still.
Oh, I can't see the presentation.
Oh, it's on the Zoom link. Do you have the Zoom link, Mr. Laird?
Oh, is he on the Zoom?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, he's there.
Okay, so he's on there.
I'm not sharing it.
Oh, sorry.
So I didn't realize he was on there.
So in the next month, hopefully, we'll be starting to share that opportunity with the students in more depth and the steps they have to take and the steps the teachers will have to take. So we make sure when we send them potential employees, that they're quality and pulling their weight here.
Is there any kind of outreach program between Boeing and various high schools?
The summer program is various high schools. We're the only high school to have this other program where we can directly recommend them. The only other institution is Trident Tech. So we're the first high school that has that in the state of South
Okay,
Carolina.
so our students go up there in the summer.
That's one program.
So nothing takes place during the school year between Boeing and ACE?
No, nothing beyond them coming down here recruiting and presenting the students with the different opportunities. So we have
They do that, both?
Yes, they do.
Okay,
They
that's
visit our
what I want to
school
know.
Probably
Okay.
2 or 3 times a year.
Okay.
These are our students working in barbering. And I'm going to talk about our goal review from last year and our yearly goals for this year. And one of the things I want to talk about that we really focused on at the beginning of our school year when I met with teachers was our standard. We always talk about our mission and so forth, and sometimes that becomes a lot of words. So we really wanted to condense that into something that the teachers have, and it's kind of our driving mantra. And this is what we came up with, and this is in every classroom. This is the standard of excellence we need to provide every day. Earn the right to be here every day, and I'm not going to read all the sub bullets because it's in the packet, but effort and follow through are non-negotiable. Culture shows at our low point. Teach, develop, and inspire, and continuous improvement as everyone's responsibility. So those are the focus points for myself and my staff this year when we're going forward, providing to our students. And when we worked through our goals, they were kind of based off these. So if you want to go to the next one. I'm going to start really quickly by reviewing last year because I presented these a year ago to the board.
Excuse me, the volume is muted.
There's a question?
Dr. Mike, before you go to last year, do we have any new programs?
There are no new
that has-
programs so far. We just have started up Marine once again, and that was not running last semester because we didn't have an instructor.
Do you have an individual or team that goes out and recruit partnerships
Mhm.
for this site?
Yes, we do. We have a career development facilitator on staff, but we also do it administratively too. So we're always outreaching, and people actually reach out to us quite a bit as well. So I'll give you an example. Today, I've been trying to get a partnership with Hyundai. You know how they opened a new Hyundai plant in Georgia? Last year, they were focusing internally on the in-state. They said that hopefully this year they would be looking outside of the state to local areas. So I asked my CDF to try contacting them and see if we can get a tour and then discuss a partnership with them, because that's a great opportunity for our auto students and our electrical students since it's all EVs up there. So that's how we generally do that. We sometimes will even see things in the online packet or at meetings we attend with the chamber and stuff like that, and we'll follow through on those.
What about Parker? Have you tried Parker?
No, we haven't talked to Parker yet.
Okay.
Something we can certainly look at. Mr. Lawyer, did you have a question?
No, I'm fine, thank you. I just couldn't hear it in the beginning.
Okay, I apologize. These were our goals from last year. Improve completer placement. We wanted to improve the number of our students that were going off into careers in their field and college. So they can go to college for any major, but also if they were going into a career field, we wanted them to be in the field related to ACE. Because when we tracked it, we weren't really happy with the percentage we had last year. And I'll talk about that in a minute in the next slide. We wanted to foster a culture of excellence by ensuring 90% of staff members model collaboration and accountability. This whole thing was reduce self-inflicted wounds, meaning, teacher errors that cause bigger issues with students. Tiered certifications, getting them in place and be able to update our syllabi so that it shows the new certifications we're offering. And we're going to that's still continuing, that's ongoing because the state keeps updating the list and changing it. So we have to adjust accordingly, so it's a working document. Content writing, each CTE teacher will complete a minimum of 3 Collins writing assignments. Collins is a program that they were trained on a few years back in their CTE program, because a few years back we identified as writing in the content area of CTE as an area that needed some growth. And we framed that through making them do their SLOs, which is their goals at the beginning of the year, where they assess students as a writing assignment. So everyone at least had one right off the bat. Then last was digital portfolios, where we had the students create LinkedIn pages, and we want to build off that. We had them created, but it wasn't the working document at the point that we wanted it to be, where they kept updating pictures and stuff. So if you went on there, you would see work samples of the students. So we kind of took these and modified them for this year's goals, things that we continue to wanted to build on continuously. And if you want to go to the next slide. This is just the data from that one I showed you before I go to the next slide, actually. This is the college. Last year we had, 2 years ago we had 18%. The group that, if you understand this is actually a year behind when we gather this data. So it's actually, the 24-25 would actually be students from 23-24, because there's a year gap when we have to get the follow-up data. I know it's a little confusing and it's hard to explain sometimes, but this data isn't from the students that graduated last year, it's from the students that graduated the year before, because that's where we have to contact to get the data according to the state and federal guidelines of Perkins. But we went from 18 to 29% of students attending college, so it was a gain of 11%. Our career program related, we went from 32 to 39%. That's employment that relates to their program they took here. So we increased 7%. And then military, we had a 2% decrease. So overall, we went up 16%. Career, non-program related stayed, and then not currently engaged, we actually did really well. I put a green, but it says minus, but when we would call, there were a lot of kids who weren't doing anything. And that was something that concerned us. They were living at home or working part-time somewhere. That wasn't college. It wasn't a career pathway. It was a job. And we really focused on some of those students getting the place, and we improved that by 16%. Yes, ma'am?
Yeah, sure.
What is the total amount, if you got 29%, what is the figure of that 29% of students that made your 29%? If you got
What's the
100
total number?
Yes.
I don't know if I have it written down here, but if not, I'll get it to you. I know when we did the math, I had it, obviously. I'll probably have to email that out, because I know I have it on my desktop when I did this data, so I'll get that out to you guys.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
I've had a discussion with a former board member about this, and she would tell me about these numbers. And I always ask her, I said, how was this data gathered? And as I understand it, it's simply a phone call to the last address that's in the records to that child's family and says, what's Johnny doing now? And they say, Johnny is working at Boeing, or Johnny is working at, and maybe they don't admit if Johnny's not doing anything but sitting at home. So, I mean, how accurate do you think these figures are based on that type of sampling?
I'll say that the difference between a feeder school and here, I think, is going to be a lot different, because here the students are with their CTEP teachers 3 blocks a day for 2 semesters. So there's a relationship and a trust that builds that I think is deeper than you might get at a traditional feeder school, where they have them 1 block over a course of 4 years. We also track their through social media with the LinkedIn. We're starting to use that and incorporate that more. But I feel that this is really accurate. A lot of these kids come back and visit. We sample them that way as well. So I would say it's a lot more accurate than it had been in the past. And it's one thing that we've really tried to set up, things like Google Classroom, where text chains with the teachers once the kids graduate, so they can contact them. And a lot of kids will circle back and contact us for employment help and stuff like that. So I feel like it's really, really accurate. I couldn't say 100% and give you a percentage, but I feel like it's much more accurate than it would be in a traditional school, because of the nature of us and the contact time and the relationships they have with their teachers.
That 21%, I see it's in the purple or the lavender.
Yeah.
Are those students, they did not receive a completer certificate?
No, they can receive the computer certificate.
They
What they
did.
was,
Why do you think you would have 21% who received the completer certificate not be employed in that particular career field?
that's something that we've been working on with the CDF to
That's,
really get more
yeah, I would like
exposure.
to, hear what they would have to
I
say
mean,
about
that's a
that.
pretty good difference though from there
It
to there,
is.
so we did something.
Yeah, it is.
But I still will go out in the community and see graduates who were strong in their field. And I'll give you an example I just shared with them. I was getting something at the pet store the other day for my dog, and I saw a young lady from culinary. She was about 5 or 6 years ago, and said, "Do you remember me?" And I remembered her after I read her name. She was one of our truly top culinary students we've had here. And I said, "What are you at Petco for?" And she said, "Well, I realized when I was working, I love pets. I love animals." Right? So there's no way you're gonna, that would have been under this category, you know what I'm saying? But there's always gonna be those variables. 21% is high. Some of those also might be students who we couldn't contact and get that accurate information from, you know, or we're not getting it. So I think some of the improvement also is our increased communication in contact with students.
Mr.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. The most critical point would be if the state wanted to have this demographic of the students that we're saying that's complete placement data. And you say we are not sure accurately yet about it. So that's why I'm asking the question. For instance, if you got 150 kids and you say 21% of them has completed XYZ, how could that definitely be approved that that if the state wanted that?
Well, we put it in Power School and then the state uploads it. So we report this to the state through our student data system where we code them. The accuracy we were with Colonel Geyer was you kind of have to take them at their word. They could tell us truly anything. You know, I mean, when you call in a parent or a student, they might say I'm at Harvard and they could be anywhere, or they could say that I'm doing nothing and be fully employed. You know, you have to take them at their word. That is where I'm talking about the accuracy of our data. I feel like in terms of contacting them, it's accurate. In terms of what they tell us, I believe in my heart that they're not going to give us the runaround because of the investment we put into them and vice versa. But I'm sure there are some discrepancies with that, as there is probably with any like qualitative data.
Thank you.
The zero, what does that look like?
This was people who went into careers, we had the same exact number for both years that weren't related to their program. So they were working, but so a student might have gone for auto tech and went into plumbing. So they're working, they're earning a living, but it's just not related to their ACE program, not directly related. So both times we came out at 24% for those students.
That's,
I would just like to say, if you don't mind, Dr. Mike, I know partnership is very good and it makes an organization strong.
Mhm.
So the more of partnerships that we can get involved with this school, I think it would be more producing to the students, more partnerships that will come in and somehow support the system here. And it helps build a relationship when you get the partnerships going on. Get a relationship with them. And there's a lot of companies out there. You got to go through the bushes and shake them and see can you find them. So I don't know your system of how you gaining partnership in, or you just letting the same routine, same old thing, same old. I don't know.
Why don't when I email out that other information to the board, why don't I email you guys just a rough list of our partners so you guys can see the scope of partners we have for each program. Okay, and like I said, we look at it in tiers. We have local partners, we have state partners, and we have national partners. Yamaha's a national partner, Boeing is a state partner, and a local partner might be Boundary Street Collision. So we almost tier our partnerships because some students want to stay here, some kids want to go here, and some kids are going to go here. And that goes for certifications and everything.
Dr. Lovecchio,
Thank you.
Yes.
So, you know, I'm looking at this, I would assume it's likely sometimes and possible sometimes that, keeping in mind that these kids are 17, 18, 19 years old, you know what I'm saying? So, given that, when they enter a program, right, they have an interest in that program, right? And so they like it, they're working through it. They acquire a set of skills through that program, right? I would imagine that a lot of those skills are possibly transferable to other career areas, right? Not just the one that they worked at, right? Or that they were in a program here for. So given the fact that they're young and they enter a program, they when they go out to work, right? They may say, hey, I enjoyed doing that. I got some skills out of it, but I want to try something different right now. And they may go into something else. So it would show up as a non-program related area,
Yes.
but it doesn't mean they're not employed in a good area, and it doesn't mean they didn't get the skills necessary that are transferable into something else. Because they're young, they may change their mind about what they want to do. Is that fair?
You're 100% accurate, and one of the things I often find is because of our setup, our physical setup, we might have a kid in welding who sees the construction kids working on the shed, and we keep having to tell them to get back in class, and it's not because they're talking, because they realize, I wish I did that, But what happens is they're 3/4 of the way through a program or halfway through, and they want to be a completer, and at that point, it's too late for them because they're seniors to go into that program. So
my point is, it may show up in red, but it's not necessarily bad.
And some of these kids circle back to these things later too, after they get a job, A lot of them want that money, that instant gratification of a paycheck, and they'll chase the highest offer they can get rather than starting here and working their way up in a career. So there are a bunch of variables but this is the data the state requires from us. And I use it as a good indicator for us of how we're doing right out of the gate of what we're doing with these kids, a year or two after graduation, so.
For me, one of the takeaways is, I hear what Dr. Rodriguez was saying along with that. I just think that, being very intentional about how we're aligning students to be in these programs, but also be productive citizens in the community. Because at the same time, we've talked several times about getting our relationships in terms of partnerships. So if I was Boeing coming here right now, looking for some people to come in Boeing, and I see that they may come in, they may get those certificates, but the fact that they get those certificates might not give me the notion that they may want to change, and they may want to come work for me. So I think that somehow strategically, it's just kind of concerning that we would have those students that would change, and not go into what they actually have certificates to work into. Because here, what we're trying to do is, I believe, and I could be wrong, is that we're trying to push out young men and women to go out and be productive adults, because unemployable young adults become unemployable adults. So we're trying to help build the workforce in this area, make sure that these kids have the skills to go in, and we can kind of aid them into getting some of these jobs. And so also like plumbing, for instance, or different of that nature that may be coming, that we're actually producing plumbers who can go work into a plumbing company, and who's interested in that. So I think it being intentional, and that's what point I brought about earlier about being intentional. So that's just kind of my some of my concerns with that, and I just leave that there.
We agree 100%, and that's why when we saw this number, we wanted to address it, and that was one of our goals from last year, was getting this number reduced, because we wanted to at least make sure that kids were either employed, hopefully employed in their ACE program, or going to college. That was one of our goals with our CDF that we had with our counseling team, and I think we made some pretty good progress, and we'll continue to. These are the 3 goals we came up with for this year. By the conclusion of 26-27, 95% of our completers will earn a minimum of 3 college and career readiness points through the new tiered credentialing system by earning industry-recognized credentials, dual enrollment credit, work-based learning, or other CCR indicators. For us, really, our goal is the points with their credentials. And why we have that goal in place is because the state's moving the bar, and we've been really high in those 90s, and we want to remain there despite the change. Because in my opinion, we're going to see a little dip in the CCR from some of the schools. We don't want to have that dip, so we want to get out ahead. So that was one of the goals that I communicated to staff and that we've been working towards in putting the checks and balances in place for tracking it, but also for intervening if a kid doesn't get one if they have a backup. The second one is by conclusion of the school year, every state-tested CTE program will meet or exceed its program-specific annual certification goal for its primary certification. So what this is saying is this: we wanted to increase our tracking of our specific. I call it these are the certifications that are worth 3 points by the state, the ones that are kind of the standard of the program. So for barbering, it would be getting your barbering license. For CNA, it would be getting your CNA license. For construction, it would be getting your NCCER construction certification. So we wanted the teachers not only look at all the certifications, but not just focusing on OSHA or first aid. We want them to look at their program specific and begin to track that with a little more fidelity. So we can look at that and we can get PD for them if needed in those areas. So we started out by having every teacher give their students their industry standard test the first week of school, so we can see how they do now. We're going to track it with a mid-assessment, and then hopefully the last one will be their final assessment where they actually take the test. So we're going to use that going forward and compare year after year after year. So we're going to have a little bit more data in that area. And last, this is a continuation of our LinkedIn goal from last year. We want everyone to maintain a professional, 100% of our students to maintain a professional page with at least 4 high-quality CTE work samples on their page. So if somebody logs in and you're working on a shed, you'll see them working on a shed. Or if there's a student working on vehicles, they may have a picture of them. So when an employer looks, not only are they reading about what they did, but there's actual evidence of the work they did. So that'll help them become more employable and give them a much better social media presence. We did a great job setting it up, but we didn't do a good job as a school continuing and using LinkedIn to its fullest and helping those students get more exposure. So this kind of goes back to everything we covered, right? We don't want to just get students through the door. This piggybacks what Mr. Smith said, right? We want them to graduate, right? We always say graduation trumps CTE. We want them to earn their credentials, specifically their 3-point credential that is pertinent to their program. We want them to get work-based learning for those who qualify. Okay? And we've done a really good job of that. We continue to grow that every year. And employment, apprenticeship, military, or college, which is some of the data we just looked at. So those are the things that we focus on every year, and that we really spent our first week as a staff honing in on, discussing, problem solving, and finding ways to get these goals better. So, it's that constant willingness or goal to improve every year and get a little bit better and take those baby steps. So eventually we're where we want to be. And here's just the final data from last year's completers. So this is actually from the kids who just graduated last June, May, June. We had a total of 183 completers and 893 certifications. By district, we had 137 and 46 from Jasper, and that was up from 168 completers from the previous year.
So a completer doesn't necessarily have to be a graduating senior.
The only ones that aren't for us are in culinary arts at this point. Everyone else, because they finished their program during senior year, for us, they would be a completer. They could be a completer at a program at their feeder school before they come here, which happens quite a bit. But this data is only for ACE.
Okay, so
So
that
for-
particular year, 180, excuse me, 183 students were classified as completers.
Here at ACE, yeah. So it'll be
Okay,
the culinary students plus all the seniors. So there could be some juniors here. And these also are certifications only earned at ACE. So we do get a lot of students that come to us with OSHA or first aid or BLS, if they come to us from their feeder school and had taken a program similar. But we only have our data because that is what we report to the state.
okay.
Now, with our data, just so you folks are aware, our completer data, I don't have the numbers because we haven't done our Perkins report, but the past few years, we've been close to 95, 99% of our kids who do complete our college and career ready. That impacts your high school report cards. Okay, so when we send the students back, they're coming back and that has a point value on the high school report card. So even though they're here, it directly impacts each of the high schools' ratings when those come out, I think, October.
Well, when the report card's released, it'll be in October.
Yeah, October. So once they get those out, that we do have a direct impact on that. And I have a donations that we have received over the summer. And I'm just gonna present them quickly because they're over 5,000. You have this boat. I don't know what, I must have had a typo here. It was a 2012, I thought it was, no, excuse me, number one, 2007 Azure trailer. This is what it said on there when we looked it up. However, the interior is just destroyed. So I don't think it has this value, but we certainly are aware it's over $5,000, so we do need board approval for that. And the second thing is Stokes Toyota is one of our better partners. They dropped off 5 transmissions and 3 torque converters. What they will do is they'll send us quite a bit of things that either had to be replaced for warranty, so it's fairly new, so the kids can work on some newer equipment. So for these donations, I do need board approval because of the cost. So
So you need to have the motion read.
yeah, I need to have that motion read.
Mr. Smith, would you do that for us?
Sure. You want these, okay, yeah, at this time, you do them separate or just do them together? I move that the Beaufort-Jasper Academic for Career Excellent Board of Directors accept the following donations. A boat donated by a private individual for instructional use. Engines and transmissions donated by Stokes Toyota for use in academic, automotive, and technical education programs. Both of those items, I ask that we that we accept both of these generous donations at this time.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
A second, any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, at the time, if I could, last one.
Yeah.
The board greatly acknowledges these general contributions in support of our students at Beaufort-Jasper ACE, and we appreciate those donations from people who donated those things, and we welcome more to help our students grow here.
Could you make up a letter
Yes, we will.
and have it signed so we send it to them? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Abar?
Good evening, I'm Katie Abar, I'm the Director of Budget for Beaufort County School District. I also do the accounting for ACE. Tonight I'm presenting the fourth quarter financial report for FY '26. I have the executive summary, and then behind that is the actual report. I just wanted to point out we are still closing FY '26. So the revenues listed on here are actuals. However, the expenditures, I'm still closing something that will affect that is the payroll run this week. So I have a projection on here, which is why I didn't put the detail behind it this evening. But I did want to point out the revenues are in 100%. One of the categories that really exceeded our budget projection this year was interest income. $28,841 is what was received in interest income for this fiscal year. I have the expenditures projected on here at $3,854,920. I do know that will go up slightly. And the projection on here then is fund balance at $1,075,884, or 26.3% for this fiscal year. The expenditure budget increased a little bit for the next fiscal year for FY27. So taking that into consideration, the fund balance for the next fiscal year will be around 26%. At our next meeting, this FY26 will be closed. I'll have a better report actuals for you. It possibly will have an audit presentation at that time too. So I will bring you actuals of FY26 at the next board meeting.
Questions?
Yes, sir. Well, actually, excuse me, comment. Can I ask, where did we, was these actual copies, or can you see this copy right here?
Yes, sir, you should have it in your folder.
Right.
There's 2 pages.
Right. No, my question was, did you see these copies right here? I was asking, did you see these? And I guess these were submitted by you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the reason why I'm asking that is because I didn't want to bring my reading glasses tonight.
You have these in your packet
Okay.
that were emailed to you
It's a
before.
copy, these are, so this is a copy of the first page on that PowerPoint, and this is the copy of the next page, right? So it's a little clearer here than it is on
Okay,
that
right. Okay.
I did the same thing.
Okay. Yeah, and then I just wanted to bring that up just because of the fact that if we're not up to date on technology in this area in the future, I just want to make sure that we are up to date, just in case someone came tonight and didn't have it. But I still, like both of these to reflect each other. Clearly, the thing I can see on this one on the PowerPoint that has been ran off as well.
So then just add,
Yes, sir.
sometimes when you take this actual Word document, put it on PowerPoint, try to stretch it, or it distorts the image for the PowerPoint. I think that's why you're giving them this copy, which is the actual one.
Right.
So maybe it's just helpful if they just have a page on here that says budget, and that's all it says, and then gives you this separate, so that this is what you look at.
Well, I don't want to tell them. I don't want to tell them how to do it. But
No.
I just want to make sure that it's clear, so that when people look through it, that they can see it, and they left their reading glasses like me, then they won't need them. That's all. Thank you. Yes. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any
I
other,
can't see it.
any other questions? Okay,
Thank you.
Couple items, just.
Also, real quick, I know we bought that refrigerator last year. In terms of that purchase, that didn't throw us off in terms of budget wise, did it?
No,
Because we did have the finances, correct?
the freezer in the kitchen.
And those were paid from the operating fund.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
So our next meeting is November 19th. And inviting everybody, we have an annual Friends and Family Day here on November 7th, where our students who are coming next semester get to come and tour with their parents. And our students that are currently here come in on that Saturday, provide services, tour the school. So it's a great opportunity. So if any of all you can make it, we'd love to see you and come check out what our students do. And it's a really fun event. So thank you.
Well, that completes the agenda items. Dr. Rodriguez or Dr. Hickson, do you have anything that you need to say before we adjourn? Okay. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Mike.
How many, what's your enrollment this year, Dr. Lovecchio?
This semester,
Mhm.
we're still finalizing next semester. We're still getting kids adding and dropping. This semester, we're at 155,
Okay, and what is your enrollment from Jasper?
36.
Okay.
All right.
If it's possible, could we, somehow, what's the date that we take the official count? The state deemed it to be official.
45 days, the first one, and then the 135 day will be in March or so.
Okay. On the 45th day, could we get sent out an update on where we are in terms of both colleges and also as a whole and what our numbers look like in the program? If that's to the whole board, that's.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good idea.
Thank you.
Good idea. All right.
Just to
Without-
point out, these students were already registered for the fall, but we are working on spring. Dr. Murphy has been working on recruiting for us.
Okay. If there's no objection, then we will adjourn by unanimous consent. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Lovecchio, and your staff.
Thank you.
Everyone, good night.
Thank you.
Bye, Mr. Laura. Be safe.
Potato chips. Potato chips.
Potato chips.
Oh,